Today, I'm gonna give you one more reason to love the Canon R7. What's up guys, Dan Frullani here and welcome back to a new video. What do I talk about today? The Canon R7. What about it? Well, let me start from the beginning. What's the first difference that we notice when we compare, for example, the Canon R7 to the Canon R6 or the R5? Well, the R6 and the R5 are full frame cameras. The Canon R7 is a crop sensor that crops the image times 1.6. And what does it entail? That, for example, in brief, we get a narrower field of view and therefore less background blur, because obviously to frame the subject the same way, just like we would on a full frame to get the same shot on a crop sensor camera, we need our subject to step away from the camera a little bit more. More distance from the camera, less distance from the background. So the subject will be more distant from the camera and closer to the background. More difficult to get the shallow depth of field. Also, smaller sensor, smaller field of view, less light that will pass through the lens to hit the sensor. And this is true for all crop sensor cameras, like the Canon 90D and the Canon R7. But we have a great difference here. Like, while on the Canon 90D we can use EF and EFS lenses without the need of any adapter. But whatever lens we use, EF or EFS, we get the crop and we keep it. There's no solution. With the Canon R7 instead, we might have a solution. Actually, I do think we have a solution. Let me tell you. Now you're looking at the Canon R6 with a 16 to 35mm f2.8 Mark II version 2. I heard it both ways. And it's not all the way zoomed out at 16. It's something like 18, I think, or 20. So I'm gonna open it to 16mm, like this. Here it is. You see how wide it is? I'm using a regular adapter for the Canon R6, the same that I'm gonna use on the Canon R7 to show you. So now you're gonna see the difference from full frame to crop sensor camera with the same lens. So that when I will put the 16 to 35mm on the Canon R7 with the regular adapter, it won't look like a 16mm, but rather like a 25-ish, something like that. Okay, let me show you. And here it is. You're now seeing the Canon R7 with the 16 to 35mm f2.8. At f2.8 there's a crop 1.6. So it doesn't look like a 16mm, but rather like a 25mm and something. 25-ish, let's say. And the same would happen if we use this lens on the Canon 90D. The only difference would be that on the Canon 90D we don't need an adapter. But as I mentioned earlier, if we use the Canon R7 with this lens or any EF lens, we add something that allows us to increase the field of view so that this lens would not look like a 25mm anymore. Let me show you. It's this. What is it? It's a speed booster. What does it do? It multiplies the field of view times 0.71. I need a calculator here. Let's say it's a 16mm, 16 right now, times 1.6, and we get the field of view of a 25mm, 25.6. When we use the speed booster, we multiply that times 0.71, and this is what we get. Something like 18mm, good enough. I mean, not bad at all. You don't believe me, do you? Well, let's see if it's true. I'm gonna put the speed booster with the EF 16 to 35mm with the Canon R7, and let's see how it goes. And here it is, the Canon R7 with the EF 16 to 35mm f2.8 with a speed booster at 16mm. Well, now it's definitely much wider than it was before with the regular adapter. So what do you think about it? Leave a comment down below, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And check the links in the description to see all my gear, stuff and things, my gear and check the link to Epidemic Sound if you want some awesome music and great sound effects. 1 month for free. Okay, so the first thing we notice is that, man, that's wide. It might not look completely like a 16 millimeters, but come on, look at that. Look at the difference. Like before it was like a 25 millimeters. Now it's more or less 17, 18, something like that. Just amazing. I think we even get more light. Yeah, it looks much brighter than it was before. Let me know in the comments. And I'm surprised because something I noticed is that usually when I use a speed booster, not only do I get a wider depth of field, but I usually get a wider aperture. But this is not the case. For some reason, the maximum aperture of this lens is f2.8 and it's still f2.8. I was expecting it to go down a little bit more, like f2. That's what usually happens when I use EF lenses with a speed booster. We will see in my next video, or one of my next videos anyway, very soon, what happens when we use the speed booster on the Canon R7 with the 50 millimeters. But for now, in this video, I just wanted to show you the difference between the regular adapter, the field of view, or crop sensor camera, and what happens when we use the speed booster with a 16 to 35 millimeters. And this is it. And I have to say, again, even though the aperture is still the same, f2.8, I can see that it's brighter. There's more light. There's something I forgot to mention, is that we can use the speed booster with EF lenses only. It's not gonna work with EFS lenses. You won't even be able to mount it on a EFS lens. They're not compatible. You will find many hacks and tricks and stuff to adapt it, like especially on the internet, on YouTube, many tutorials and things. But I warn you, it's really risky. You seriously risk to damage your camera and your lens. So don't do it. The speed booster should be used with EF lenses only. To wrap it up, I think this is one more reason to love the Canon R7 and to prefer it to the Canon 90D, for example. One more reason. I explained to you and I showed you the difference between the R7 and the 90D in a previous video. And this is one more thing that you can get out of the Canon R7. Like, you can make it look like a full frame camera, or almost. Alright, that's all I wanted to say for today, and I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh yeah!